Hello there, YouTubers. I've been asked for some information on inkle weaving about should a person try to buy heddles or make their own heddles for an inkle loom. And my answer to that is a very emphatic: make your own. So what I want to do is quickly go through the process of making your own heddles for an inkle loom. So let's get into that. What do you need? Well, you need a scissors. You need some cotton twine, butcher's twine, something like that. Just a strong cotton twine. Then you need your inkle loom, and you're going to need a little bit of yarn to put on it to just do some measuring with. So let's move the camera down and take a look at the inkle loom, at the heddles that are on it. Right now I've got a piece on the inkle loom, and I just want to show you how the heddles are visible to me as I'm weaving, and talk about how we're going to set them up, and then we'll start actually making a couple of heddles. Okay, let's take a look. Alright, let's take a look at the heddles that are on here right now. I've got a shed where I've pulled down the movable threads, and the threads that are on the top here that are visible are the ones that are through the heddles, and they're the what I call the immovable threads on an inkle loom, because remember, it's tabby weave. You're only getting one set of up and down. So the movable threads are doing this or this. They're down. So I like to put a piece of wood in between there to hold the shed open. But what you need to note here is that, relatively speaking, all of the heddles are very close to the same size. They're holding all of this set of threads in almost exactly the same position. Yes, there's a little bit of a difference. It's maybe a 1/16 of an inch, but that's not enough to matter. But what it is important that they be relatively close to the same size. You can't have them, some threads are 1/2 an inch higher than others. That just will cause you no end of trouble. So you want to get your heddles as tied to as close to the same size as possible. That's the goal. Okay? If you try doing that just by measuring out pieces of string and tying them to the same length by hand with no guide for that, I promise you, you will have trouble. So what we need is a way to tie every heddle in this as close to possible the exact same length as a loop. So that having been said, I'm going to finish this piece. It's almost done anyways. Take it off the loom, show you with a new setup on the loom how I measure the strings for making heddles. So I've got the string. I'm going to slide this over a little bit so you can see what I'm doing at this end first, and then I'll slide it back. Take this piece of twine. You notice I've got one set of strings on the loom. This one is the one that will be moving when you're weaving. This one is the one that will be held in place by the heddles. So I'm just going to take this string and go underneath that one and underneath that same one again. And I'm going to fold these two back like this. I've got excess here that I don't need, and it's easier to work without that thread in. So I want to tie this around this post. I want to bring this down tight enough so it's just above this string that's going to be the moving one. See, my shed will be here, or my shed will be here. So I want this to be just above there. So measuring wise, this is the one where you're basically making a template. Okay? So that's our template. Now the other thing you're going to need, I'll move this back over here a little bit, is an electric drill. I've already got this loom drilled the size I want. But I'm showing you how to measure first in case your loom doesn't have holes in it like this does. So on the side of your loom, you want to start at one end and just drill a hole. I'd suggest using a 1/4 inch drill bit and just drill it so you've got a fair amount of space this off the other end. Then what we'll do is we'll take off the heddle from one end, put a little piece of wooden doweling or something that wouldn't match, whatever works, into that end, and bring this out to whatever point you can stretch it to. Now this one that I made is a little bit smaller than what I've been using, so what I would do is I'd take a pencil or a pen or a marker and just mark the very end of this. I could have made this a little bit longer, but so what? Mark that and then drill a hole. Another hole. So now you'll have 2 holes. Take and put a wooden dowel in there. Okay, and you can then have a template for making the rest of your heddles, because your goal is to make them all the same size. So let's take this, pick up this string, and we'll just tie a square knot into it. Yeah, you're going to waste a little bit of string, but string is cheap. Okay, so now there's my heddle. I'm going to cut off these Irish pennants. So that's a perfectly good heddle. We can lay it under there, and if we were threading up the loom, we would simply do that, and there we'd have our heddle. So that's the process of making heddles. You want to get yourself a template, 1 heddle to measure with, drill 2 holes in the side of your loom somewhere that's out of the way, and I used the base. Get a couple of wooden pegs, wooden matches, anything that you can stick into those holes. That becomes your template, and you always tie around that template, and that way all of your heddles will be extremely close to exactly the same size. You'll never be perfect, but you'll be so close that you'll be happy with the results. Okay, that's it for making heddles for the Inkle Loom. Thanks for watching my video. Thanks for the question on how this is done. I hadn't thought to show this, and it's a good, important question. So anyways, if you like my videos and you're not a subscriber, I would appreciate you subscribing. If you are a subscriber, thank you much. And bye-bye for now.